Happened around 3 this morning in the 2500 block of 15th Street South in Fargo.
People were allowed back inside about a half hour later. There are no reports of any significant damage. Well, if you're looking for a new credit card, the time to apply may be right now. The Federal Reserve just boosted interest rates yet again.
And although that might sound like something boring and happening far away, heads up, it could make an impact when you're trying to pay the bills at the kitchen table. That hike could create a domino effect by pushing up your car, mortgage, or even credit card interest rates up. Most credit card companies base their variable rate on the prime rate, which is tied to the federal funds rate. And any increases mean that it may take even longer for you to pay down that existing credit card debt. An assistant professor at finance of Concordia College thinks the rate increase could impact people that are seeking new credit cards.
Well, some people, they borrow more money to pay money that they owe. So they get a new credit card to pay old credit cards. And so, for example, the new credit cards they get, they would be borrowing at a higher rate.
Dr. Coretta also says people who already have debt could fall deeper into that money hole. A lot of folks consider it a cruel hoax in an era of deadly school shootings. Families and police in 15 different Minnesota schools are now scrambling to find out who called in fake active shooter reports yesterday.
All of them were hoaxes, but you can only imagine the real and gut-wrenching emotions of the parents, police, students, and teachers on these calls. Now, it's a thing called swatting. It's happening all over the country. Someone calls in fake crimes that then call out a large police response. Sometimes those responses are then shared on social media.
People caught in Minnesota could face up to a year in jail and even a $3,000 fine. Now, if someone is hurt or killed as a result of a call, it turns into a felony with the possibility of 10 years in prison.
We have to respond in a way that we take all of these threats seriously, and we have to take them serious, and so that's why these hoaxes are so frustrating, because of the emotional stress it places on our community.
The swatting calls didn't just hit Minnesota. They also happened in Florida, Texas, and New York.
6:51 now on our Thursday. Time for a look at our storm team forecast. Good morning, Lisa Green.
Good morning. Well, fall lovers, it's finally here. The first day of fall. We have had our calendar turn here with the fall equinox officially at 8:04 tonight. Here's a look at our latest headlines. You can see all this purple in the Northern Valley and over to the west. That's a frost advisory. That's in effect until 10 o'clock this morning. Temperatures in that 32-degree range into some upper 30s in parts of the valley. And in fact, in Candu, we're at 30 degrees right now. We're a little better off here in Fargo at 41. In Grand Forks, we are at 36 degrees, and into Devil's Lake, 36 degrees as well. And at those temperatures, we could be seeing some frost too on the ground. Now, we are going to be dealing with some chilly numbers this morning, but heading out to the bus stop after school will be better. So we're looking at some 40s to start, and then heading home, upper 50s, low 60s. Not as windy today. That's good. And we stay on the dry side during the daytime hours. A few more clouds moving in for the afternoon ahead of that rain that's coming tonight. That'll move in late night, I would say midnight-ish or a little bit before in our western counties, and then through the day on Friday. Friday's going to be one of those gloomy days, cool and breezy and just unpleasant. We start to warm up back into some 60s this weekend. So fall weather is here with the turn of the calendar.
All right, Mother Nature seems to be watching that calendar as well, right on time. Lisa, thank you this morning.
6:52 now. A surprise prisoner swap between Russia and Ukraine, and 2 Americans are among those now freed. Alex Drueke and Andy Wynn were among the 300 people involved yesterday. It's the largest exchange since the war began in February. They went missing in the Kharkiv region of northeastern Ukraine near the Russian border June 9th.
Both had traveled to Ukraine on their own and became friends because they're both from Alabama. They are safe in the custody of a U.S. embassy in Saudi Arabia. After medical checks and debriefing, they will be returned to the United States. One-way flights out of Moscow are selling out after President Vladimir Putin's order for an immediate call-up of 300,000 more reservists for that war against Ukraine. Turkey and Armenia are both destinations that allow Russians to enter without a visa, and they say flights to their key cities went fast yesterday.
Putin's announcement raised fears that some men of fighting age would not be allowed to leave the country. The DEA keeping tight-lipped about what it calls a planned and proactive operation happening in South Fargo. It all went down around 6 yesterday morning near 7th Street and 9th Avenue, which is close to Hawthorne Elementary School.
Some viewers told us they spotted a helicopter that was hovering over their neighborhood, along with several K-9 teams on the ground. They even heard 2 flashbang explosions. KFGO News is reporting that the operation involved Homeland Security and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Jury selection is underway in the trial of an Oakley, Minnesota man charged in his wife's death. 46-year-old Eric Reinbold faces 2 counts of murder. His 34-year-old wife, Lizette, was found dead in her driveway last summer. She had been stabbed 27 times.
Reinbold was on the run for 26 days before he was finally arrested. Lisette's 3 oldest children and her sister all expected to testify in the trial, which is expected to last about 3 weeks. A man who stabbed a woman and led Fargo police on a 24-hour manhunt is now going to prison for 13 years. 56-year-old Fabian Henderson pleaded guilty to attempted murder. It was for stabbing on March 5th at an apartment in North Fargo. Police say a woman was stabbed at least 10 times. Henderson told officers he blacked out, but likely did commit the crime.
A 61-year-old woman is recovering from stab wounds, and her daughter is in jail accused of trying to kill her mother. Police say 28-year-old Jenna Weiner-Rowitz was upset with her mother yesterday morning, and as the mom tried walking away from the argument, the daughter followed her and then assaulted her with what police call an edged weapon. Now the victim has non-life-threatening injuries. A Grand Forks woman accused of trying to kill her 82-year-old father is taking a plea deal.
The charge of attempted murder against 56-year-old Cian Reese was dropped, and she pled guilty to aggravated assault. Reese was sentenced to 5 years, but will serve 2 with credit for the time she's been serving since the stabbing took place in March. It's 3 more years in prison for a former Minneapolis police officer who pleaded guilty to a state charge of aiding and abetting manslaughter in the killing of George Floyd. Thomas Lane is already serving a 2.5-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights.
Prosecutors agreed to allow Lane to serve that penalty at the same time as his federal sentence and in a federal prison. People are now trying to make sense of a bunch of bags that were dropped in a West Fargo neighborhood that are being looked at as racist, and police are looking for who did it. Inside those hundreds of plastic bags, pictures of 14-year-old Jupiter Paulson and 23-year-old Arthur Cawley with the words, "The Great Replacement and Its Consequences."
Now, Paulson was murdered by Cawley in a Fargo strip mall parking lot last summer.
Really goes against everything that the city stands for and certainly what the police department stands for, and that's why we really want to get to the bottom of who's behind it.
Experts say that, quote, the Great Replacement theory is often touted by white supremacist groups, claiming people of color are being brought to the U.S. to replace white voters and achieve a political agenda. Be sure to call West Fargo Police if you have any information related to these bags. Well, grab your lunch today while also helping out the community.
That's right. Head on over to the nearest Hornbachers to grab a turkey sandwich and give a donation to the United Way. That's where we find the Valley. Today's Jillian Trudeau live at one of the Hornbachers stores to see how that turkey is looking as they're cooking it up for lunch. Good morning, Jillian.
Good morning, guys. That's right. We're already thinking about lunch here at the Hornbachers on Cheyenne and West Fargo. Just one of the locations that's going to be having these takeout lunches for you guys with a donation to the United Way for their Gobble It Up for United Way event today. So on the menu, we're going to have Laura Hovland, our photographer, try the turkey sandwich here. It's actually just the cold one, but there's going to be a hot turkey sandwich. And I'm having Laura try it because of just personal dietary restrictions here. But how is it tasting?
10 out of 10. Nothing like a turkey sandwich at 7 in the morning.
Honestly, our dinner time, but that's just the cold one. And there's going to be hot ones at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today at all of the Hornbacher locations. There's also, we've got the Kemp's ice cream right here. We've got Old Dutch chips and an assortment of beverages. So everyone's invited to come on down and donate a suggested $5 for this takeout lunch.
Head on out to Hornbachers and gobble it up today.
Yep, gobble, gobble. We're loving it. Jillian Trudeau reporting live this morning. Thank you. Thriving schools are the souls of a town, but classes have not been held in Nome, North Dakota for more than 50 years. No matter though, after being back open for a little more than a year now, the small town schoolhouse is once again the beating heart of the community and beyond.
With a new roof, millions of dollars behind it, hundreds of work hours, and 4 years later, it's open again with a new purpose. The century-old Nome Schoolhouse has become the perfect setting for adult education. And there's more to the facility than just academics. It's also a wedding venue, a restaurant, a bar, and a hotel.
As our producer said, no place like Nome.
Cute.
Yeah.
Well, at last, listen to this. 2 people have finally come forward to claim that $1.3 billion with a B dollar Mega Millions jackpot from late July. If you remember, a single winning ticket was sold in a Chicago suburb, and now we found out that 2 people are splitting that prize money.
They chose the lump sum. It's a payment of $780 million. Now, the jackpot was the nation's 3rd largest lottery prize in history. The people who won it looking to remain anonymous.
I guess that'll work.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, we have some bad news for beer lovers in Florida. Coors Light covered Interstate 75 yesterday morning, and it was following a crash involving multiple semis.
2 semis crashed after one of the drivers changed lanes, then 2 others and a pickup truck came up from behind, smashing into that first wreck, and finally a 5th big rig just piling on top and unloading all of those beer cans right there across the interstate. Whoa, what a mess.
Crazy scene. Well, thanks for joining us here. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Happy fall.